Going. Yeah. Good morning.
Good morning. And how are you this fine Friday?
I am fabulous. I am rested for the first time in like a month, and it's exciting.
That's always exciting. You are linked up, so you're good to go there.
Fabulous. Let's see if
And,
Facebook puts it
there we
through.
go. Okay, so good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Dark Roast. I'm Donna Stroll, and I'm here with my beautiful co-host, Rose. And
Good
today
morning.
we are going to be talking about newsletters.
Yes.
Yeah,
I love newsletters.
there you go. So, all right, so newsletters might sound a bit old school, right? You're thinking, who uses newsletters? But they're actually really great for boosting your online marketing efforts. So why don't we start with the basics?
Yes. So, essentially what it is, you're sharing either knowledge or tips or something. It's a real quick, easy way to share information with your audience that you can personalize a little bit more, either branding it straight to your business or just, including your own humor. It's a little more personal than I would say just like the reels and stuff that we throw out there for the broad audience. This is more for people who are on our email list or in our private Facebook groups or whatever it might be, just to give them a lot more value than we would give, just anybody.
Yeah, and that is sort of where it diverges a little bit also from just an email campaign. Because you're going to be able to do a lot more. People are expecting something that's a little bit longer. So, I mean, that's super helpful. Pardon me. And they can boost your traffic, obviously, because you can direct people in different directions. And because they've chosen to be there, that's also going to help your, the click-throughs and the open rates and all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, especially with like, AI, not AI, sorry, with technology today, like you can put a QR code on there. If you are printing them out, if they're digital, you can put links to almost anything. So it's a super valuable way to even direct people to YouTube, your blog, whatever it might be, as well as products and services.
Yeah. And I mean, most of the time, your newsletters are not going to be hard copies. Like we've sort of gone beyond that. But there are people who still like to print something out. So, like, say you've got some really valuable information, they might print it out. So think about that when you're formatting it too.
Yes.
All right. So we talked about it's direct communication. It's also super cost effective because it's just like your emails, but you're setting it up, and there are different ways that you can also do that. Like I know that with Medium, they send out your blog posts via email. So you could literally create your newsletter via your blog if you wanted to, or take snippets from your blog to create your newsletter. There's also some pretty good programs out there. Most of the mailing ones actually offer newsletter options. So,
Yeah. I think it's super personalized them, which is great. Like Canva is where I build out most of my newsletters because it's fantastic. But even most of your CRMs have, some sort of newsletter builder built into them. I know GetResponse does. Um, I don't believe that 𝐊𝐇𝐈𝐒 has a specific newsletter one, but you can build it out in the email builder really easy as well. So there's lots of different ways that you can personalize and design it differently. And I would say be careful with this because it's kind of like, the girl who gets the bedazzler for the first time and starts bedazzling everything. You can totally overdo it.
not too many
So,
spinny things. Actually, try to keep it as
yes.
static as possible because you want people to be able to open it without bogging down their system. And
Yeah,
also,
you want it personal, but not chaos.
yeah, yeah. And I get it. It happens. I remember when websites first started to become like a big thing, and everybody wanted every spinning, flashing, moving, colorful, and noise and everything else. And it was just like, no one wants that. Think about giving a child, a young child, a noise toy. Yeah, it's super fun for them. It's not fun for anybody else.
Good morning, Kristen.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's kind of like MySpace, right? When they had like the super glittery backgrounds that were moving, and then it was a song, and it was like, as much as I loved MySpace, like some of the pages, it was like, whoa, okay, there's a lot going
we
on
lost you for a
here.
second. So yeah, as much as we enjoy the fun for us, um, it can be a little overwhelming.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so let's talk some best practices.
Yes,
Okay.
so similar to emails, right? Subject lines. You want something that's catchy but clear. You want to grab people's attention and be relevant to the newsletter.
Absolutely. And you want the content inside to be valuable. All right. This is not your sales pitch. This is value information. They don't want to read something that's just a lot of fluff. They don't want to read something that they're reading and reading and reading and it's going absolutely nowhere. They want that value. So you're going to give them tips. You're going to give them some exclusive access to certain things. You're just going to It's got to be tailored to stuff that's important to these people. They signed up to you for a reason. So make sure that that reason continues when you send out your newsletters.
Yes. And then, of course, consistency. We talk about this all the time. So, however you've set it up, it could be weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, whatever. Make sure that when you're setting it up in a way that you can keep consistent. So if you know you can't send one out weekly, then don't commit to doing it weekly. Do it, maybe monthly, and just stay on top of the schedule, right? So with Ice Wellness, we send out a monthly newsletter that's tips, tricks, etc., and then a podcast share to help people get a little bit more perspective on cold therapy than just the big names out there. And we do that once a month, so it's super simple. It goes out on the 5th, I think. And it's a very easy way for us to share information and share those podcasts and whatnot, especially for people who aren't in the Facebook group for whatever reason.
Yeah, and by not trying to overschedule yourself, also, I think that will also help in some ways your open rates. Because if you're sending one out twice a week or something, people might just get fatigued from that. I mean, if you've got a lot of stuff, like if you're doing a lot of technical tips, like say you're an Instagram specialist and that is your business, you might want to send out once a week, right?
Yeah.
Because things change so often. But if your business is not changing a whole lot, you might want to spread that out to once every 2 weeks or once a month, where they can get a good buttload of information without, seeing the same information all the time. And also that puts a lot less stress on you as a business owner because it's just one, it's not as overwhelming, gives you time to build and create. So, and then, yeah, the last one is the mobile users.
Yeah, I was bad about this.
Well, and we don't necessarily recognize, but most platforms will give you the option to view in a mobile view as well as, a tablet view or, mobile tablet. And even Canva does that. It gives you the option to look at it in all its views. And that's another reason why you don't want to add a bunch of bells and whistles to it, because it will make it a lot easier for people who are mobile to view your newsletter and be comfortable with it. Oh, bless you.
Thank you. Sorry. All right. And then, of course, there's different formats, right? So you've got like your digest newsletters, you got your curated content, you got your promotional newsletters, product updates, all kinds of different things. So there's a lot of different things you can use newsletters for, on top of your standard newsletter, right? So, and sometimes newsletters are just an easy way to blast your entire email list without having to format a whole new email and schedule it in. Again, I'm not sure 𝐊𝐼 does that, but I know GetResponse does, where you can just type up a newsletter and send it to whatever email list. It doesn't matter where they are in the autoresponder sequence. Everybody gets it, which is super convenient. And then you can use, you've already got your monthly tip newsletter, but maybe, there's a weekend seminar coming up that you're like, oh, you know what? If you guys love my tips, you're going to want to be at this seminar. You can send that out. Or, a new product launch, like whatever it might be, early access, discount codes. Like there's so many things you can use it for.
Yeah. And like with the digest, like say you are a regular blogger and people aren't signing up for that, but they have signed up for your newsletter. So you can, you can compress that down. If you're a writer, it's a great way to give people teasers to your new books or excerpts, things like that. If you're a publisher, same deal. It allows you to just sort of give a bit of information without having to give away the farm. So, it can also, like, say, even on social media, you're really you do a lot of social media. It's a good way to summarize some of that stuff. Send people over to your YouTubes if you're a regular YouTube person, that kind of thing. So lots of different ways. So you just want to make sure that you're mixing it up.
Yeah.
Just like with your emails or even with your just any kind of content, you don't want it to be the same thing all the time because they start glazing over. Oh, I've heard this story before. Yeah. So
yeah. We've all done it.
Because it gets easy, right? When you get really good at one format, and then so you just tend to do that. It's like anything else, So the next thing is increasing your signups, your open rates, and your engagement, because that's
yes, so important.
Okay, so how do we get more people to sign up, open our newsletter emails, and actually engage with our content?
Well, one of my favorite ways is Score App, which I've talked about before, which is a quiz lead gen essentially. So, create a quiz around the pain points that you're trying to solve the problem of, and then email the results. That's one of the easiest ways. It drives me nuts when I'm on the other end of that, and I get why people get frustrated. But it is a really nice way to get a more personalized answer through a very quick quiz and then go from there. And it also has a good way to segment your list. But that's one really good way to start getting signups for your newsletters because they're going to want to know the results and they're going to open that email.
Yeah. And so just like other things, so that's an incentive, right? That would be an incentive-based one where, if they sign up, they're going to fill out this quiz, they sign up, and then they get their information. But people do it all the time. Astrology is huge for that. Let me send you birth chart or whatever it is, that kind of stuff. You can always do the free ebook or the free something. It doesn't have to be an ebook. We always say ebook, but I think people think ebook and they think it has to be huge. And really what you're providing is maybe like a 5-page thing. It's not, it's more of an information pamphlet than it is an ebook. And I think that we need to start changing that because ebooks tend to have more value, something that you would buy versus something that is free. I mean, yes, you can give away the farm free, but most people won't read it anyways. Like, let's just be fair and honest with that. You can put your heart and soul into it. And if you're going to do that, sell it. And then the people who buy it are actually going to read it. But, a pamphlet or a checklist or something like that they can sign up and receive. Okay. Again, if people are visiting your site, if you have a site, like say, I don't know, you sell recordings for meditation, and they're there. When they go to leave, you can have a little pop-up that says, hey, join our newsletter and sign up for our newsletter, and we can, keep you updated on outgoing things without being bombarded. Because that's the other nice thing about a newsletter. Signing up for a newsletter versus an email list is you're more likely to have a better scheduled. You're not going to be receiving emails every day. You're probably going to get them maybe once a week or something like that. So.
For sure. Just be strategic with pop-ups because a lot of people, like if it pops up in the first 10 seconds, especially on mobile, like they will leave. So make sure that you're testing it, and very specifically testing it because I had one that was set, I had it set that it would only pop up when someone went to leave, but it was popping up on its own for some reason. Yeah, it took me forever to figure that one out. So make sure you are testing your pages before sending them out.
Always, 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 always. Yeah, no, definitely do that because on exit, I think is always a good one because it just allows, it's just like a one more. It's the same with, when you go to a product shop and they're like, hey, you've left something in the cart. Are you sure you want to log out? And you're like, no, let me go spend my money. And maybe they missed it, right? Also, like, so if you don't want to do that, if you just want to have it static, make sure that your suggestion to sign up is visible. It's easy for people to get at. And then you can also promote your newsletter in any of your social media content, subscribe for more and, have that information in your profile or whatever to sign up for a newsletter. Another way to just help increase your engagement and get that information out there.
Yes. And then of course, personalization and subject lines, like it's so huge. Like, yeah, if the subject line is not catchy or if they don't know what the heck it is, it's not gonna get opened, it's just gonna get deleted, or even worse, marked as spam. So make sure that the subject line is good and again relevant to what you're sharing, and very obvious that it's, something they signed up for.
Yeah, and you know, always test. We always talk about the testing, right? Because it's so easy. And yeah, Go High Level does it. Pretty much get response. Any mail any mail server will do that for you. Will provide that testing option for you. So do it because maybe one header works better than another, or it doesn't really matter. And also, like you had with the quizzes and stuff like that, other interaction, like polls or surveys, clickable links, and always ask for feedback, right? Because this is a conversation between you and your people, right? So you treat them like your people. Treat them like you're in a room and having a conversation with them. It's not just you here, monologuing. It's supposed to be a feedback way so that they're getting information and they can tell you, like, you can do simple ones like, if there's anything that we're not, is there something you'd like to see us cover? Are there questions that you have? Do you want more information about this or that or whatever? All that kind
Yeah,
of stuff.
feedback's always super important, and I think when it's something that you created, it's a little bit harder to ask for feedback, but it's so important because your vision may not match what your customer needs. You might still have the solution, but you might be presenting the problem in the wrong way, or you might not be seeing all aspects of the problem, or hyper focusing on one aspect that's really just a condition of another aspect. So, feedback does not have to be negative. I think we're conditioned that it is. But feedback could really help you improve and boost sales, boost signups, like ROI, everything, just because it's super important to understand your customer avatar over what you think your customer is.
Yeah, you got into it for a particular reason, and it might be a fantastic thing that you're doing, but you might, because you have the information and you have the knowledge already, it can be easy to skip over something that's actually a key element just because you're like, well, everybody knows that. And it's like, wait, well, no, not everybody does know that. But it's easy to get into that headspace because maybe you haven't dealt with it for a long time. So,
Yeah.
So that's it, guys. I mean, let's go over it like just really simple. So the benefits of a newsletter is direct communication. It's cost effective. You can personalize it, and it really adds to your traffic and can boost your sales because you can personalize all that information, send people different directions, and all that sort of thing.
Yes. And then, of course, the best practices again, subject line, make it compelling, make it relevant, make the content valuable and value driven versus just fluff. Consistency, and of course, don't forget that most people nowadays are consuming data on their mobile versus their computer.
Yeah. And then the different formats of newsletters, you've got your digest, which is basically going to be a recap of a lot of information and it brings it into a small space. You've got your curated content. So that is, you're pulling information from other areas and that's relevant to people. You've got your promotional, obviously, and you can slip promotional into other things. So I'm going to go back to publishing and books where you might, have some information about the latest, greatest convention that went on, but you can also slip in some promotional material about a new book that you have released or whatever. And then product updates, so say your program's going through a big change or it's added some new people or whatever, that's a good place to provide that information.
Yes. And then, of course, signups, open rates, and engagement are all super, super important. So, offer incentives, use those pop ups strategically and sparingly. Open rates, of course, again, subject lines and A B test. There's absolutely nothing wrong with A B testing your subject lines. And then either add interactive elements or ask for feedback.
And never forget your call to action. Because newsletters have them too. And the call to action could be simply ask for feedback. Yeah. So, depending on
or
whatever
follow
it
our
is.
social media. Like, there's so many different things. Check out our YouTube channel. Like, again, when you start doing these kind of things, everything should intertwine and lead to each other, right? So, maybe one newsletter leads to or maybe you have a social media block and all your newsletters lead to it. But, maybe you need to remind people to follow or subscribe or whatever it is. So,
yeah. Yeah. And like, say you've put up some particularly interesting piece of content that matches what your newsletter is about, then you're going to link them there, whether it's your YouTube, your blog, your Instagram, it doesn't really matter. Just, you can just shut them off into those different directions. And it just helps expand and solidify your network. So that's it. That's all. Newsletters are a powerful tool. It's just one of the many tools that you have as a marketer to utilize, to mix with your social media and your email and your video and your blogs and all the rest of it. So, it's just another tool. Don't be afraid to utilize them. And again, with the information that's in your newsletter, can be part of your blog, could be your YouTube, where you've exported it and now, you've exported the transcript and now you have converted it into like a newsletter, obviously with some tweaking, but again, so it's a good way. You don't have to worry like, oh, I have to create 16 different types of content. No, you treat one and then you turn it into 16 different types of content.
Yes, exactly.
So that is it for today for the dark roast. If you have any questions, comments, etc., you know where we are. Please either drop them in the comments. Good morning, Alberta. Okay. And if you are, if I can't help you, Rose can. If Rose can't help you, I can. And if we can't help you, we know people who can. So
yes.
By all means, let us know. Subscribe. If you're watching, follow us. Follow us on YouTube and drop a comment. Let us know what you think. And that's it, I believe, for today. Have we decided what we're talking about next week?
I don't think we have. I was going to say, too, if you have any questions, make sure you leave them in the comments as well, because, we don't always answer everything in our podcast. And again, we don't always know what your pain points are. So,
exactly. Yeah. If you leave a comment, we will get back to you. It doesn't matter when you leave it, we'll see it. So we will definitely get back to you. And we won't be creepy about it because that's not our jam.
Nope, not at all.
All right. So let's see. What would you like to talk about?
Oh, it's a fantastic question. This is always a good one. Imposter syndrome. How to
Yeah,
overcome it.
yeah, I suffer from that all the time. So I think that's a fabulous one. So next week we will be tackling the concept of imposter syndrome, because our biggest blockade most of the time to our success is us. Yeah, it's something within us. And so there are many different ways to get around that, to push through that. I do it on a daily basis. So I feel like that will be a great conversation.
Love it. I
Uh,
think Dika agrees.
there you go. She's like, I've been so good for so long. All right. We love you guys. Have a great Friday, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Yes.